Let's see. Is it working? Yeah, I think it's working now. All right, cool. So, hello everyone. This is a video, and welcome again to Agile Coaching in the Age of AI. Today I wanted to pick a topic that's pretty important for me, at least in the context of what I'm trying to do and how I'm trying to help Agile coaches everywhere. So the topic is called Coaching Agile Frameworks versus Coaching Outcomes. I think Agile coaches are abundantly coming from a Scrum-based background. And again, I have nothing against Scrum. I think Scrum is awesome as a method, as a framework, whatever you want to call it. But the key problem that I found with agility in general, and this was something that didn't really make sense as I was starting out and throughout my journey as an Agile coach, was the fact that we were only focusing on the framework and we were not focusing on the actual results. So one of my first Agile transformation engagements was about doing Agile. We're doing Agile. We're not doing any framework. We're not doing Agile. And this was weird and awkward to me. And I felt the need for specificity. As I was doing more and more transformations, I saw that being specific about the framework is actually good to get people started, but it's not going to help them become consistent in their practice. It's not going to help them connect the dots between principles and practices. It's not going to help them work their way into better ways of working. And I found that there are a few reasons for that, and it has nothing to do with the people. And well, actually, it has a lot to do with the people, but it doesn't give me as an Agile coach the right to judge them. So one of the key things that I found was that, first of all, I don't know the environment. The environment has evolved in a way that has helped people survive within that environment and become somewhat successful, or at least not punished by the system in which they are in. What does this mean? Well, it means that people have adapted to the way the system is currently set up, and when you try to, set up Scrum events or try to be strict on the definition of done, people cannot really relate to the change because they are stressed out by the current demands of the system. So I found myself more than once having people telling me that, what I'm doing with Agile, the fact that I'm structuring the events, the fact that I'm setting up a definition of done, the fact that I'm using user stories, the fact that I'm teaching them to do planning poker, is more or less giving visibility to the people that are not doing the work, to the people that are outside of the team, not the people that are inside of the team. Of course, this is not 100% true. Sometimes people do benefit from better organization. They benefit from working on a more structured skeleton backbone. But at the same time, after 6 months or a year of doing this, there was actually no improvement in the process. And that's something that concerned me for a long time, for years. Now, in my last project, this was more than a year ago, almost 2 years ago, we started doing some metrics after, setting up the Scrum framework, setting up some of the most common agile practices. We started doing some metrics, and what we found out was that, the fact that we weren't really splitting user stories made the teams very, very slow. So they actually were releasing at the median, at an average rate of 755 days, which is something like close to 2 years. So we did some changes, and we got the teams into the agreement that we could actually release on a quarterly basis. Now, why is this important? Why is this relevant from a business perspective? The problem with Agile coaches is that they do work on the improvement of cycle time, lead time, but they never connect it to the business. How is the business benefiting from this? That's actually key to business agility. Always asking yourself, why is this metric important? How is this benefiting the business? So cycle time or lead time has two main benefits. The first one is that it helps business adapt their marketing and sales strategy. So if you're releasing a feature, if you're doing something that the business will inevitably bring to market, releasing faster will mean that business can actually adapt better, or have more time to adapt better to the customer's needs, to the customer's voice, and to see whether the customer is actually interested in what you are doing. Now, let's do a comparison. Let's say I'm releasing something in a month versus I'm releasing something in 6 months, right? The amount of work, the investment that goes into something that's 6 months is much bigger. But the key problem is that something that I release in 6 months is not really adapted to the customer's needs. So one of the projects that was going on was, for example, a framework revamp, a UI revamp. And we worked on it for a few months, and after a month, we released it to the customer. After a few months, we released it to the customer, and the customer gave us very, very bad feedback. And within that month, we did multiple customer inquiries, and we started adjusting the interface to the customer's needs. It was always very little things like add a button here, make this disappear, create a new column here because I want to see this and that data. So all of these little things got from an EMPS, an NPS of a negative NPS, basically everybody giving bad feedback, to a positive NPS. So in a few weeks, it just started shifting towards neutral, and then it started to become positive. Now, this is one of the key aspects that having a low cycle time helps with. But the other aspect that having a low cycle time helps with is to help marketing and sales adapt their messages. So for a lot of people, I think don't understand that buying something is an emotional act. Even if companies are setting up, especially enterprises, are setting up very complex buying processes, in the end, there's always like a decision of, does this feel right, yes or no? And of course, it helps to have multiple offers. It helps to have multiple comparisons. But in the end, it's usually a gut call from a high-powered stakeholder. This is on enterprise sales. On B2C sales, it's just emotional 90% of the time. So if you can say that in enterprise sales, the process is somewhat objective, you have some dimensions, you have some correlations, etc. On the other side, in B2C sales, it's just emotional altogether. So people choose emotionally. Now, why is this important, and how does it relate to marketing and sales adapting their message? The key aspect that, having a good design or having a good approach to a customer-centric way of working is to actually understand how the customer sees the problem. So while you need to understand the customer and understand their needs and their problems, the way you talk to the customer about your product and feature has to show the customer that you understand them, has to show the customer that they are the ones that are in full focus, that you are not the hero but they are the hero. And when marketing is sales have enough space and enough time to do this, they can actually do multiple tests, multiple experiments and approaches to connecting to the customer, so that they are able to get the best results throughout the funnel. Now, when you're looking at this funnel, the important thing is the funnel will have a few steps, and at each step they will drop off. The question is, why are they dropping off? Is it because of the messaging? Is it because of the software? Is it because of the positioning? Is it because of the benefits? Is it because of the offer? So all of these questions need to be explored, and people need time to do this. Now, arguably, the best way to actually start selling a feature is before the feature is done. So this is part of the agile marketing part. So let's say a great example is Disney Plus. So I was teaching a safe POPM class. This is product manager, product owner, and we were talking exactly about this concept of form first, subscription first, and then build the product. The reason why you would want to do that is because you want to understand if the customer wants what you have or if they don't want what you have. And the only way to do it is just to send them an offer and see whether they are responding to it or whether you should bid it. This actually diminishes your investment by a lot. And this creates a lot of space for marketing and sales to get early customers. Pre-subscription is also a thing. So get that money in before you even build the feature. Now, the other reason why you want to build features fast and why you want good cycle time and good lead times is because you want your financials to look okay. So I don't know if people are familiar with the concept CAPEX. So CAPEX means capital expenditure. And this has to do with everything that you do to change the enterprise. So if I'm changing the enterprise, then basically that's capex. And the key advantage of why I would want to put effort and investment in capex is that I can invest a sum of money now, let's say $1 million in a product, and from a financial perspective, the expense is not going to be only in this year, but it's going to be split in equal rates throughout multiple years, like 5 years, 10 years, depending on how long you've projected the product will be in use. Now, why is this important? Well, because of financial economics, basically. So when you have a huge cash drain, you are not really able to actually spend a lot of money. You are not able to raise a lot of money, right? Because you are depleting your capital. From a financial perspective, this is actually very disastrous, and nobody would make investments if this would happen. But when you actually have this tax advantage of, I invest my money now, and then the investment is actually split into multiple years, your profit and loss sheet, balance sheet, basically profit and loss calculation will look much better, which helps you with your image towards your investors. It helps you have a sound economic organization, and it's basically helping you to better project budget costs, right? So the better you project budget costs, the less you'll have surprises, and the less your company will be in risky situations. Now, that's the key to having a sound, healthy business. Now, in most projects that I was in, and again, maybe these are, the outliers or the bad example type of projects, but I don't think so. I think that most of the market is something like that. From conversations that I've had with other people and other agile coaches, most companies don't have this connection between, I'm delivering software now and I can actually deduct capex very fast. They don't have this framework. They don't have this way of thinking and way of doing things. And the big learning with this is that when you coach frameworks, for example, when you coach Scrum, I'm just using it as an example, or when you're coaching Kanban, you're actually focusing on the elements of the framework. You're not focusing on what the enterprise actually needs and then funneling that need towards an agile way of working. When you're doing that, when you're only focusing on the framework, this is about you as a coach. This is about your job. It's not about what people get. It's not about how they become better. It's not about how the organization becomes better. So focusing on frameworks, actually, after, let's say, you've implemented the framework, is actually not really helping anybody, especially when the framework needs additional work. So setting up the events, setting up Jira, making sure that people are writing down their working agreements, etc. or user stories. This is actually work that's on top of regular work. And the key problem is that people have the expectation that other people will perform in a similar way or in a better way than they performed before Agile was implemented. Be it Scrum, be it Kanban, be it less safe, whatever flavor of Agile we've chosen to implement, Spotify. The reality is that if you don't track metrics and better metrics, the system will work the way it used to work before you implemented any form of agility. Why? Because people usually stop at setting up the meetings, for example, setting up the Scrum events. When they stop at setting up the Scrum events, not even going for definition of done, this is what I saw a lot of the times when I was coaching. This only sets up like the management overhead, and this is exactly what people over the years have told me. Like, what I'm doing partially helps, but it doesn't really help them. What it helps with is it gives transparency to people that are outside of the team. It doesn't give transparency, or it doesn't enable the people inside the team to work better. It doesn't enable them to be faster. It doesn't enable them to do things in a more streamlined fashion. It doesn't help business get what they want and what they need. So this has been something that I struggled for years, because I knew that there has to be a why behind what we're doing with the frameworks and with the techniques and with everything. There has to be a why. And as I said, I spent multiple years thinking about this question. And maybe I'm just stupid. Maybe I'm not that smart, because I could have probably figured it out faster if I was smarter. But the key aspect is that it started from a feeling. I was feeling that it just doesn't add up. I was tired of people resisting the way I used to coach. It was a feeling that people kind of respected me enough to not get into debates with me on agility, on how to do things, but they mostly ended up tolerating me, or mostly ended up doing enough just so that I don't get on their case. So the reason why I figured it out was that in like a few years ago, 3-4 years ago, I used to have to be very, very proactive. I mean, if I didn't reach out to people, if I didn't tell people about different problems that I was seeing, etc., then nothing would have come back to me. I wasn't in the operations mode. People weren't texting me about things. I wasn't involved or important. Again, I'm not telling this as a sob story, because I don't believe in being dramatic. I believe in taking ownership, and it didn't feel right. That was the problem. It didn't feel right. It felt like a lot of resistance, and a lot of the time I was thinking, okay, there has to be a better way of doing this. There has to be good ways of connecting the dots between what we're doing on P&L level, so profit and loss level, balance sheet level, financial part, and what we're doing at the day-to-day level. And somehow this is very hard for a lot of people to cross. How do you get from I'm doing an automation to we have $50 more on the balance sheet? So that's actually the I think that's the tough nut to crack when it comes to coaching business agility, because it's not obvious to people how this should be. It's not obvious to people how they need to bridge the gap between the balance sheet and the day-to-day activity. And I actually had this recently, like last week I was talking to somebody about this. How do you connect OKRs with with feature splitting? And the person who is one of the most intelligent people that I've ever met told me they needed a breakdown. They needed a connection. They needed to see how this connection was going on. So, and again, we're talking about one of the most smart people that I've ever worked with. So it's not like somebody that doesn't get it. It's not somebody that can't listen. It's somebody that genuinely didn't piece these two things together. And that's the point. That's the real value that I believe as an Agile coach I'm bringing. It's helping people shift perspectives, so connecting the dots between the balance sheet and the day-to-day work. So the splitting, different Agile techniques, right? The splitting, the automation, the diminishing the release cycle, the measuring the revenue indicators within the product, doing telemetry, right? So all of these things are actually connected to making better decisions and actually improving the balance sheet. And it's not obvious to people. The other thing that I think it's important when you're looking at business agility is to understand that, you know, there are three major frames that you as an Agile coach or as an Agilist in general, but I'm mostly speaking to Agile coaches because this is what I know. You have to look at three different dimensions. Three. All right, so three different dimensions. The first one is the making money part, the business agility part. And this is how you structure your business demand up to the point that, you know, software teams can actually work on them. So you want your business demand to be as clear as possible. You want to have very good business cases, and you want to make sure that people do understand what is the connection between the business initiative and the overall company strategy. And of course their domain or their day-to-day work. The other thing that is key on this business agility part is the actual execution framework. So I call it technical agility plus AI knowledge or execution. So basically this is very much related to technical depth. So a lot of the things that people do are not optimal, and let's face it, people are not the best decision makers, and they are usually, let's say, used to do things in a certain way. That's why I'm saying you can't or you shouldn't blame the people. You should start changing the system. What does this mean? Well, you need to show people how things could be done differently, and you need to take a no BS approach. If you're going theoretical on this, then people are just going to tune out at some point, because you're going to repeat the same thing, and they're going to just say it doesn't apply to us. which most of the time means that I don't understand what you're saying, and I don't understand how what you're saying is actually translated to my environment and my specific thing. Now, the way I've started to work since a few years ago, and it's actually getting better and better as I continue to work on this, is you don't need to implement a lot of things. You don't need a lot of agile concepts or a lot of agile techniques. You just need to focus on 2-3 things, but to do them repeatedly and to have a very, very, very good commitment and follow-up strategy. So what do I mean by this? For example, automation, automate everything. What does that mean? Well, it means you take on the agile software delivery lifecycle, and for each step you ask yourself, what are the manual steps that we are doing? Why is it taking so long? What is the, let's say, the input that the human brings to the table? Can this be standardized? And what are the things that we need to eliminate? What are the things that we need to automate/standardize? So by looking at the outcome, which is the overall cycle time, and by analyzing each step, you actually get to a point where you understand that, hey, we need to automate the delivery pipeline. We need to automate regression testing. We need to make sure that people are filling in forms when they submit business requests. I know this may seem like we're trying to become robots about the process, but the only way to streamline a process is actually by getting rid of deviation and by standardizing as much as possible. Now, I know that sometimes standardization hurts usability, and I agree with this, but at the same time, if you manage to make things thinner, if you manage to make things smoother, and if you manage to alleviate a lot of things that are not going as they should, then you eliminate a lot of rework and a lot of bad blood between different actors that have to intervene along the software delivery lifecycle, and you can actually create better business outcomes. Now, we're in the age of AI, and this is where we need to also think differently about the way we work. So, first of all, when you're trying to improve a process, you have 3 steps, right? So the first step is eliminate. What you want is you want to look at the process and ask yourself what is redundant, what is not necessary. You eliminate those steps. Let me give you an example. If you want your customer to sign a document, you can have a certified, qualified electronic signature, or you can just have them push a button. Now, some of the people in legal will tell you, no, you just absolutely need to have the certified type of signature, etc. But truth is, in order to streamline the process, you might just have to accept clicking on a button in an application. So you eliminate those steps that are actually not helping you progress towards your customer. How do you eliminate them? Well, you ask yourself, for this document, is it risky if we don't have a qualified signature? If it's not that risky, if the churn of the customer versus the risk that you imply by not having this qualified signature in place is actually on the churn side, basically you're getting more customers if you don't have this qualified electronic signature in that step, then you should definitely go for eliminating that part. The other thing is automation. So this is the second step. Basically, everything that's repeatable and standardizable has to be automated. This is where a lot of companies now, because they are in the AI gold rush, are actually making a lot of mistakes. Instead of analyzing the process, eliminating steps, so decomplexing basically their processes, and then standardizing their steps, they are just trying to introduce AI. Now, AI is great, and we're going to talk about it in the third step, but the problem is AI. First of all, you're probably not going to have an internal AI unless you're a huge enterprise, which means that the business case is unpredictable. You saw what happened to Uber. You saw what happened to the token prices in GitHub Copilot. So you don't have a business case basically. And the second thing is, even if you have a good business case, then the tokens, the token consumption that's going to be needed for that process to be automated using only AI is just going to be insane. So in order to have a business agility point of view, you need to actually figure out ways of decreasing that token cost. And the last part is delegating, and this is where you would use AI. So just to give you an example, let's say we're having a front-end funnel to do offers for customers, right? So the customer fills in a form. This is standardized and automated. Of course, we eliminated the non-important things that we asked the customer to do. The second thing is the actual offer generation. Let's say 95% of the offer generation is actually standardized, but what we used to do before, we used to do some customer research, and based on that customer research, we used to send them the offer. Well, let's say some of the customer research is in the form, but some of the other customer research is not going to be in the form. Let's say we're not going to ask the customer, for example, what's your revenue? That's a little bit weird. That's cringy, right? But what we can do in the back end, we can actually work with standardized systems plus AI to make sure that this offer is actually the one that the customer might say yes to. Now, of course, this is not going to be an easy thing to implement, like especially if you right now have a manual process for creating offers and for sending those offers to the customer. This is not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy for customers to fill in different information for you to send them the offer. That's normal. That's how most humans work. But if you have a proper follow-up system, right, you can, for example, you can automate the follow-up sequence. Maybe the follow-up sequence is the one that is actually draining your salespeople the most. You just send them the first link, right? The sales guy sends in the first link, and then the offer is automated. Most CRMs actually have this, and most CRMs will give you a follow-up sequence that's going to be automated. And this is the first thing that you need to do. The second thing that you can do is, for example, the customer scoring can be done via an automated system. It can also be enhanced or reviewed by AI. One of the most awesome use cases that I found for that I actually talked to people about using AI was decreasing the customer, what was it? uh, the cost of customer acquisition, decreasing it by 10x because they created a small offer for the customer. Basically, it was a free thing that they would get if they would fill in some of their information, and they got a free profiling. And basically, this was done via AI. This was not automatically generated, and it took a couple of iterations, and then the AI generated the profile perfectly. And it basically shrunk down the cost of customer acquisition by almost 10x, if I remember correctly. So basically, that's the key for running anything on the technical agility side. Now, the last part, and this is one of the most disregarded parts of being a good agile coach, business agility coaching, and what I'm trying to show agile coaches, elite agile coaching, it's the people interaction and influencing. Basically, whenever an agile coach feels the need to complain, I've found that it's mostly a matter of them not taking accountability for the fact that they cannot influence the people around them. What do I mean by this? Well, if you're talking to management and you're trying to get them to do Scrum, but they're not responding to what you're saying, basically you're not able to communicate well with them in such a way that they see the benefits for themselves. This is the same thing with teams. So a lot of agile coaches that I talked to thought, the people were resistant, management was resistant, and whenever they hit walls in talking and coaching people, they automatically defaulted to management is not supporting us. Well, that's a common misconception in my opinion. I don't believe that management has to openly always support everything that you do. The reason why I'm saying this is, think of it this way. You got hired in the first place, right? So you're hired there. You're hired in the organization. How much support do you need? You got a job and you get paid every month. That's a lot of support. And I'm talking as a person that has had periods of time where there was no job, where there was nothing out there to, quote unquote, support me. So I think that this period is actually teaching a lot of agile coaches that they need to understand how to fend for themselves a lot, and they need to bring much more value to the table than they used to bring. I think that in the end, the time for HR-like coaching is gone. No more I only facilitate changes. I don't get into the technical aspects. I only facilitate. I don't do the business side. I think that time is actually gone, and it will be worse and worse for people that are going to take the stance of I'm just a facilitator and I'm just a coach asking questions. I think that the value that you bring is in shifting perspectives, helping people understand how to do things differently, and sharing with them your perspectives, your challenges of the status quo, the way you're trying to make things work in a different way, the way you're trying to position changes so that people actually understand the benefits that they get. So I think that's what's going to be much more important in the following period than focusing on we have to do planning daily and retros, and we need to um, get management to support these values and principles, and not scream at the people, and I don't know, do X, Y, and Z. Again, not condoning, verbal abuse here. What I can tell you is that in high stakes scenarios, people are going to lose their minds for a bit, and they are going to be a bit angry, and they are going to sometimes not be that respectful. It's your job as an agile coach to coach them out of that, of course. But in high stakes environments, at least I'm working in high stakes environments. My last project was a high stakes environment. This project is a high stakes environment. High stakes, high stress, however you want to call it. In high stress environments, people are going to act in a way that's going to be consistent with the constant pressure that they're on. So don't expect them to be easy on you just because you're the agile coach. If you're the agile coach and you're not contributing, if you're not important in the scene, then you're just going to be made redundant, and it's going to be a good call to make you redundant. So to recap, because I think I only have 3 minutes left. Just to recap, basically you have 3 things that you need to focus on in order to be a really good agile coach. You have to focus on the business side. You have to understand how to connect the dots between the business results and the day-to-day operational things that you're going to support the teams to do. The second thing is the technical and AI side. You're going to have to learn, you're going to have to know how does the agile software delivery lifecycle work, where to automate, where to use AI, how do you shrink the overall cycle time. And you're going to have to become really, really good at influencing people. So this means spotting resistance early on, basically intuitively, understanding how to get people over the doorstep, how to get them to implement the first quick win, how to help them bank on those changes and do more and more as they free up more of their time. So all of these 3 aspects, I think, are key to you becoming a successful agile coach. Having some numbers that can actually prove that your activity was not useless, and making sure that everything that you do and everything that you talk about has a real practical result that you can actually tell people about. These are, in my opinion, the 3 aspects that I found out are actually really important for agile coaches, and it hasn't been easy. I have to tell you, I've been doing this agile coaching stuff since 2024, so it's been quite a journey to figure this thing out. So I hope this helps, and I hope you guys are really interested in how I can change the system instead of teach 4 Scrum events. I hope that you guys have a good time actually working with people and being helpful, adding value to them by, as I said, changing the system. That's what you need to do. You don't need to create administrative work for the teams. You need to help them change the system, really. So this being said, I wish you guys a great Saturday, and see you next time.